Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have 102 Dalmatians. This is the sequel to 101 Dalmatians, but it's the live action version. This is the Glenn Close series of Dalmatian movies, where she plays Cruella de Vil. So, obviously, that's her right there. It's an hour and 43 minutes long. It's from 2000. And, yeah, it's. The thing with 101 Dalmatians is, yes, the dogs are cute, everything's just sweet, and there's puppies, and you can't you can go there to see this movie for that reason, but it doesn't sustain a storyline really that much. You go with your strength, and that is always, in this case, the villain. Cruella de Vil is just a maniacal, over the top kind of character, and you get Glenn Close getting to chew scenery like crazy. The thing is, we start out this movie, after what happened in the previous movie, which came out in like 1997, I guess. And I think John Hughes was involved in writing these, or he was just involved with the first one. I'm not sure. Either way, it's just a weird connection. A friend of mine brought up to me. Anyway, in this film, Corella's in prison, and apparently Dr. Pavlov has been working on some sort of conditioning that it sure is not legal, and it sounds fairly cruel, and but he's done behavior modification. So when we check in on Cruella at the very beginning of the film, we see the doctor showing off different successes he's had. He sees a cat and a bird together, a dog and a rabbit, and they're all starting to just go from room to room. They're like, well, this is not a animal hospital. This is a prison. Yet still everywhere, anytime our characters go somewhere, the dogs, like if they go to prison at some point, their dogs go to prison with them. I don't think that's a policy anywhere, but that's beside the point. It's a fantasy. It's not reality, so we'll go with it. You look in the last room, and there's Cruella de Vil surrounded by Dalmatian puppies, just licking and cuddling and everything else. It's just, she's having a wonderful time. She's not freaked out or angry or evil or maniacal in any way. So, there you go. It works, and she is released on parole. Her parole officer is our main character, technically, played by Chloe. My eyes are horrible right now. Chloe Simon. And by the way, she meets a guy named Kevin, who is Ian Grufford. Ian Grufford. There's some missing or additional consonants or vowels in his name that I can never pronounce his name right. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He played Mr. Fantastic in the first two Fox Marvel films. But he affects an accent. I don't know if it's really his. He throws in a little bit of Irish in his. I'm not sure. Anyway, he is the male lead. She is a female lead, and they come together over the dogs. He rescues dogs and takes them in, and has so many different kinds. It is almost hardly any Dalmatians in this film compared to all the other dogs. There's even a parrot who thinks he's a Rottweiler, voiced by Eric Idle from Monty Python fame. There's a lot going on here, but regardless, her parole officer doesn't trust her, doesn't think she deserves trust. In fact, the parole officer is the owner of one of the Dalmatians from the first film. I didn't see the first film. It's not been on our thing. It hasn't shown up on our list yet. So, I don't know what exactly happened in that one as compared to the animated movie, which I've seen, obviously. But yeah, so of course it doesn't take too long after Cruella gets out of jail. Oh, by the way, if she tries to kidnap any dogs, do anything to dogs, she is like harmful to dogs, she loses what's left of her wealth, which is £8 million, or quid, or however they call it. It's 8 million. It's a lot of money, and she's actually very genuinely doing things to help dogs, and she's trying to, because of the conditioning, she's reformed. Well, we find out later on, and I'm not going to give you away the whole story here, but later on, she has to revert to type at some point. Otherwise, we don't have a villain. And Gerard Depardieu is in this, but he's kind of a sidekick kind of villain. He's just this French fashion designer that she knows, and they team up to take on puppies, and he really enjoys skinning them and twisting their necks and stuff. This is really kind of a dark concept to build a comedy on. But of course, the dogs always triumph. Their ingenuity and their cleverness and their adorableness always comes out on top. No dogs are harmed in reality or in the story in any way. It's so it's safe to watch with kids, and there's going to be no upsetting moments. Even when you think, well, maybe that dog just got killed. No, that 5 seconds later, you're going to reveal that the dog has not been killed. It's just the way it is. Anyway, yeah, it's a. Cruella reverts to type because they find out that a loud noise, such as the chiming of Big Ben, will break the conditioning, and she goes hog wild after that. And good kudos to Glenn Close. I mean, she's an award-nominated and winning actress who is literally debasing herself in many ways. She's when the dogs come at her to protect themselves, she gets baked into a cake at one point. She gets covered in all sorts of crazy goo and sprinkles and I don't know. It's just all sorts of icing and all sorts of stuff that she's just. You see, it's actually her. It's not like a stunt person doing it for her. I mean, I'm sure there was stunt people doing some of the stuff, but for the most part, that's a Glenn Close doing some crazy, just covered in crap. Not crap, but stuff. And for a good chunk of the third act of the film, she gets her comeuppance for sure, as you could expect. I don't think we'll be getting any more of these films because we have a new Cruella movie on the way, or shouldn't say on the way. Well, it's out now. It's on Disney Plus, and well, I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, anyway, we got her. We got I told you a few other people in this. Eric Idle, Ian Crawford, Glenn Close. I mean, those are the biggies in this, and it's a good, wacky, crazy fun. It's cartoonish. It's big, broad comedy, slapstick galore. Her Cruella's assistant gets beaten up and abused so much by her and by the dogs that he is tasked with managing and capturing, but he learns real quick that it's not worth all this crap. So yeah, he's important to the turn of the film. Spoiler, but yeah, it's what you get usually on the inside. You get somebody with getting enough abuse in the story where they're like, I'm switching sides, and he's the key to saving a lot of lives in this. The only thing, like I said, I was telling friends of mine just before I recorded this. I had talked to some, and I said I don't think there was that, like, even an attempt in a depiction of 102 Dalmatians. They're like, through that window over there, there's some Dalmatians, 102 Dalmatians, and then look through the window and there's maybe like 7, but they didn't bother to get over 100 real Dalmatians, and they weren't going to bother digitally getting creating a ton of Dalmatians for the film. They just got enough to handle things, to make the movie seem that there's a lot. Because they also had tons of other types of dogs as well. The main one, oh God, I already forgot his name. The little dog, Oddball. He's an oddball because he has no spots. He's a Dalmatian without spots, and so he gets in a bit of trouble just because he wants spots. And the dogs are intelligent. People ask these dogs for for advice on things. They have conversations. The dogs understand them, but of course they don't understand the dogs. Thank God the parrot's there to translate for some people. it's a race against time. And there's the Orient Express is involved at one point. They go from London to Paris at one point. There's fashion shows. There's a lot going on here. So it's all in the for the sake of comedy. That's all based around the abuse of dogs, the kidnap and abuse of dogs, which again does not happen, but there's the attempt, and that makes her truly one of the most evil characters in all of Disney. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the new film, which is what I was going to talk about earlier, because that's what we're going to watch next, because it's on Disney Premiere or whatever. It's whatever. It's the Premiere Disney Premium. It's available now. So instead of me picking a number randomly, I'm going to make it so that, yes, we're watching Cruella next. With Emma Stone, which I love, and we'll see what we think about that. It's going to be interesting. We're a few days late to watch it, but this actually inspired me to go, you know what, I think, okay, I missed out on watching it on the premiere day because I forgot all about it. And so that makes tomorrow's selection Cruella, the Emma Stone. Or you can watch it in theaters too, I think. It's in theaters, select theaters. But it's also on Disney+. So that's what we're watching tomorrow. I was nothing to pick. So I'll see you back here tomorrow with Cruella. See you then.